Hello and good evening from the Channel Studios in London with your international news around the world in 5.
We can't keep our country closed for the next 5 years.
US President Donald Trump has confirmed that the White House Coronavirus Task Force would wind down as the country moves into a second phase of dealing with the aftermath of the outbreak. American health officials have warned that the virus may spread as businesses begin to reopen. The US has reported over 1.2 million confirmed cases of the coronavirus infections and more than 70,000 deaths, which is the highest death toll in the world.
So I think that as far as the task force, Mike Pence and the task force have done a great job, but we're now looking at a little bit of a different form, and that form is safety and opening, and we'll have a different group probably set up for that. Or you could say there might be a recurrence, and there might be, and most doctors or some doctors say that it will happen, and it'll be a flame, and we're going to put the flame out. We've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about the coronavirus. We've learned a lot about this hidden enemy. It's a dangerous enemy. It's a bad enemy. You see what it does, especially for people over a certain age.
More than 2/3 of people surveyed in 20 African countries say they would run out of food and water if they had to stay at home for 14 days. Just over half of the respondents said they would run out of money too. The Africa Centres for Disease Control and Prevention research was conducted to help governments map out future policies on how to tackle COVID-19. It warns that if measures are not adapted to local needs, there is a risk of unrest and violence. According to the survey, the lowest income households expected to run out of food and money in less than a week. A bridge in China's Guangdong province has closed after it began shaking because of an unusual wind flow. The shaking began in the afternoon and continued through the night. Workers have been on the scene examining and trying to repair the bridge. Humen Bridge was built in 1992 and put into use in 1997. There have been chaotic scenes in Peru's capital Lima after a crowd of hundreds of people knocked down a fence to enter a local food market. It's after lockdown measures were introduced to slow the spread of COVID-19. Significant outbreaks have occurred in the country's food markets, at mines, in prisons, as well as among homeless communities and police forces. Meanwhile, in Mexico, state crematoriums have become so overwhelmed with the death toll from the virus that they have had to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. An operator of one crematorium said they are working full-time and are processing triple the number of bodies they would do on a typical day. Mexico has registered over 26,000 cases of the virus and 2,507 deaths so far. A fire has broken out at a residential tower in Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates. 7 people were being treated for minor injuries and taken to hospital for treatment. Firefighters arrived at the scene to bring the fire under control. This video on social media shows burning debris falling from the 48-story building engulfed in flames. The cause of the fire remains unknown. 2 former captive beluga whales will be released into the world's first open water sanctuary for such whales in Iceland later this year, following their arrival from an aquarium in China. Trainers have been teaching them how to use rocks to exfoliate and how to get familiarised with the stretches that will be used to move them to the sanctuary. A London street artist has paid tribute to Britain's health workers by completing murals across the capital. The UK has outpaced Italy with Europe's highest official coronavirus death toll of more than 32,000 people. The artist Stanhope recently completed another mural celebrating National Health Service workers underneath a railway bridge in London's Waterloo, teaming up with Britain's Network Rail to pay tribute to the unsung heroes of the crisis with the iconic image of Superman ripping off his shirt buttons to reveal an emblem reading NHS in bright red. And finally, nurses in California danced away their stresses and strains as they celebrated the recovery and release of a patient who had spent the last 45 days battling the virus in hospital. As it was Cinco de Mayo, a mariachi band was on site to provide the music for the joyous nurses, who continued the celebrations afterwards. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.